भगवते श्री अरुणाचलरमणाय ॐ नमो 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 भगवते श्री अरुणाचलरमणाय ॐ.
अंतर्ज्योतिः बहिर्ज्योतिः प्रत्यग्ज्योतिः परात् परः ज्योतिर्ज्योतिः स्वयं ज्योतिः आत्मज्योतिः शिवोऽस्म्यहम्. I am the auspicious one, the inner light and the outer light and the indwelling light, higher than the highest of all lights, light of lights. I am the self-luminous light. That's the self.
So this self-luminous light, even if you don't have any experience of self, and if you have faith in the scriptures or people who have experienced self, then if you start looking for it, you know, there is a beautiful saying that even if you start looking for God, you can find God. I don't know whether you have heard this or not. People say that, you know, I can't find this thing or that thing, where it is kept, or, you know, what it is. And then they say, look, even you can find God if you are keep looking. So this is what it is, you know, this light, this keep looking within. If you focus on that looking, and Bhagwan has said so beautifully where to look, what to look for. If you keep looking, you will get it. In a very simplest terms, actually what he is trying to teach us in self-inquiry or self-attention is that you go back to the source. Now, go back to the source is go back to self. Go back to self means that detach yourself from mind-body complex. Now, how we are attached to mind-body? Only by one thing, thought. All thoughts, primarily I thought, because everything is, I have been treated like this, this has happened to me. Like one is known as just because in day-to-day terms you have to say I. That's not an issue. Like someone says, where are you coming from? You said, I am coming from there. That doesn't mean that you are ego. You can just say like that. That's not an issue. Vyavaharik Satya, which we say in Hindi, like just to use daily usage, you use the same term. Problem comes when these thoughts coming to the mind, we start taking ownership of these thoughts. And Bhagwan's method is not complicated, so simple that people don't get it. What Bhagwan is trying to tell us is that when a thought comes, you just watch that thought, or if you can't watch, then think that whom this thought is coming, and then this thought will come to me, of course, to me. So then look, then this is also a thought which is answering, because when we are doing a self-talk, it is only thought talk. You're not speaking to anyone. So when you say, of course, to me, then the question comes, who am I? Only question. There's no answer to this question. If answer is coming, then there is no end to it. So you don't look for answer to this question, that who am I? And then just sit in silence. So when you do this, method, if you can do this method is very easy. Actually, you also don't have to say, who am I all the time. When a thought comes, you just watch it. Don't own any thought. Thoughts are always coming like me. But Bhagwan's method is good in a person who is too much absorbed in thoughts, and then he has to set aside and say, whom these thoughts are coming. Then the question comes, answer comes to me, and then you say, who am I? Who am I? Another very crude method is similar to it, which is saying I am within, like just this feeling of I amness, just observing that I amness, which actually is ego, which is I amness, that which says I am this body. But when you watch intently with attention, that also melts away. So this is the second method, I would say, watching that I amness. And the third method, which I think is very profound, is just paying attention to this awareness, which is nameless, formless, which is us. Now what will happen is, if you are just jumping on directly to this awareness, thoughts, you have not done anything with thoughts, so thoughts will come. And thoughts will come and they will try to overpower, and then you just stay as an awareness, and the thoughts are coming. And thoughts are coming, and again, you don't own any thought, and you just pay attention to awareness, not to thoughts. In all these three methods, which look very similar, effect is actually same in all these three methods. Or you can move among these three methods. Self-inquiry, who am I? Or I amness, or I. Bhagwan also says I. Nisargadatta Maharaj, his guru said, just say Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman, just like that, and just that feeling. I don't think you have to say those words, but just a feeling in you, I am Brahman, I amness. Feeling, or maybe words, or I, that is. And the third thing which I have found is very profound is just staying as awareness, that nameless, formless presence. And for that, you don't have to focus on anything. You have to just stay in that neutral gear. And then the thought comes. And this ownership of the body comes. Or anything comes. And everything comes, it comes in front of you. So you have taken the back seat. And this is the best seat from where you can watch whatever is unfolding. And from where everything is unfolding, this person, there is no person here. No one is judging. And this, from where you're observing, you are not even an observer. You are not observing, but it just whatever you are watching, things are coming, and you are just in neutral atmosphere of your awareness. Because here you are not observing. Like your intention is not to observe, but yes, from here, whatever comes through the mind or comes, it will come and you can see it. But you are seeing is like you are seeing through it. You are not judging or criticizing or making any notes of changes in your mind or your feelings. Definitely, because it's coming to you, you will notice it. Let's say you are standing on the street and two people are fighting. You will see they are fighting. But if you are not involved, it will not affect you. They are just fighting, you are just watching. You are not even watching, but because they are just in front, you will see that there's something is happening. You have zero interest, and maybe you can just keep walking. Same is with all these feelings, emotions, thoughts, which comes and goes in this awareness. Because awareness is vast. It has a space and space and space. It is not claustrophobic. It is not condensed. It will not suffocate you even if a thought comes. Allow a thought to come, but don't engage in it. And in awareness, even if you want to engage, you will not engage. This intuitiveness will give you an idea when to engage in a thought or not also. Like some thoughts which need attention, it will pick up that, or it might work on it, and most of it will just go away, especially thoughts which are serving purpose only to the ego, to I am the body, I am the mind concept. Those thoughts will start disappearing. Those thoughts will not stand in front of their scrutiny from awareness point of view, because there are two different levels, you can say, that you can work through this body as whole world is working as ego. Now, ego word has a bit of disrepute. If you say someone that you have ego, they will feel bad. They might never talk to you. But in spiritual word, if you tell someone you have ego, they know it and they are trying to get rid of it. They might be having 0.001% of ego, but they know it and they are trying to get rid of it. While in normal usage, it is not a good word. People think they have no ego. A lot of people you meet day to day, they have nothing to do with God or spirituality or any practice. They say, I don't have any ego. And then they talk about others' ego. So it's the same word, but different meaning to different people. So on our level, as spiritual seekers or sadhaks or people who are trying to go back into just pure awareness, this is so important that we know on this path that what is the weight of a thought, whether it is that egoistic thought or whether this thought is just pure presence coming from that intuitiveness. And this discernment of will happen on its own. It will happen more when we stay as awareness most of the time, not saying that I like this person or I dislike this person, just in that neutral. Actually, no sage is having any friendship with anyone. They are not creating that I have to love people. They are very neutral. But and some people, even with Bhagwan, some people felt a lot of love. Like even now when he is not in that body, we feel so much of love. But in his time also, some people thought he was very cold. And some people even thought he's rude because he's not answering to your questions. People are asking, he's kept quiet. Another question, third, fourth, fifth, people got fed up and they just left. Because those questions must be coming from that egoistic level in that person, which he's not receiving. The receiving end of ego is not there. So it's just falling. Those questions coming from that egoistic thought are not being received by Bhagwan, or you can say pure self, and they just disappear. And when there is a genuine question, then the answer comes, which hits that consciousness, coming for that longing for that consciousness. Because whole purpose in a pure presence is to elevate others' level to the same level. That's why people who came with humble heart, they just sat in front of Bhagwan, never spoke to him. They got the message in their silence and they left. So many people from overseas who visited Bhagwan, there are no records. Do you know? They were trying to compile everyone. Recently, someone sent me a couple of pictures and asking me that who are these other Westerners with Bhagwan? I had no clue. Actually, I'm not a good historian, but I passed on that information to David Godman and others. And they said there are a lot of these types of pictures. You don't know. Some people came and they just left. They never spoke to anyone. So that thing you can get in that pure silence, because here what transaction is going to happen between awareness to awareness? Nothing. Just that magnet of awareness is pulling you up if you're ready for it. And that grace is always there. That grace is within us and that grace is outside us in form of a place or a person who is in self. So that's why this helps. Pilgrimages helps. Satsang helps. Meeting people who are interested in that helps, because their levels are quite high up. They are practicing this all the time. That's their longing is for it. They are respecting their own self. It is, you are more interested in it, more it unfolds in you. More that egoistic thing starts dropping off. So it is like a spectrum. You move from, no, I don't say that you move from very highly 99% ego. None of us are like that. I think not, very rare people are like that. But let's say wherever you are, but you're moving towards that pure awareness, being antarmukhi, being that mind always focused on the self, like looking towards you only, not outside. When you keep looking towards you, paying attention to awareness, this dispassion or vairagya or disinterested in things or actions or whatever things are going is so strong that it is hard even to remember your name. Like no interest in name or even this form. That's why some people look so mad, who are too much into it. You know, like they withdrawn too quickly into it, and then sometimes they like look like madmen, you know. But they have that bliss. They have found that bliss. So moving from that person who thinks this body mind to pure awareness can happen only with your interest. If you are not interested, it will not happen. You can pass it on through lives and lives. It's not going to happen. But the moment you move in, this is a magic. Whether you understand it intellectually, whether you know anything about it or not, whether you are completely uneducated, doesn't matter. Whether you've read the scriptures, whether you believe in God, whether you believe in any particular guru or sage, it doesn't matter. Whether you come from a religion or no religion, doesn't matter. Because what you are is not dependent on anything. It is only dependent on your interest in it. Because they say this is the same mind which is looking outward, so interested in thousands and thousands of things, and becomes weak because it has so many interests. The moment it starts looking within, it has only one interest. So it gathers its energy from everything, and that energy comes back from the mind to look within. And the moment it starts looking within, the transformation starts happening. It can be slow cooking, it can be very quick. Who knows how it happens in people? But it happens. Without exception, it will happen in everyone. Without exception. Because that's its nature. And whoever has reached will tell you only one thing. This is our natural state. It is not hypnotizing yourself that there is some awareness. I am awareness. I am not this body. I have no location. It is not that they have hypnotized themselves. Actually, they are deconditioned. They have deconditioned them from their mind and their body. Because conditioning is all these thoughts which is attaching us to objects and beings and our interest. And each person has not one interest, thousands of interests. But the moment you start looking towards who you are and follow any method, and even if you don't know any method, you're just interested in it, you will find a method. It will happen to you. Only thing is, once you start knowing and the change starts happening in you, you will have more respect, more love, more praise for your own self. And in normal day-to-day language, whom everyone respects most, that thing we call as God, isn't it? When the word God comes, we all have respect. Some people think there is no God, but that's okay. But still someone might be believing in some power. If you see, even at ego level, we place so much of importance on our own self, isn't it? Though it is a small ego, because it is this reflection of the same pure self. And so we pay so much of importance to self-importance, But when you actually come and see the real self in you, then your importance is not that selfish importance. Your importance is more of reverence, praising your own self, If you see even Bhagwan, when people were singing songs in his praise, he used to sing songs in his praise along with devotees, and people used to ask him, why are you doing for your own? He said, I should also enjoy, I should also respect that self, that pure Shiva in me. So this is the thing. So your respect for that, and who is respecting whom? It looks like a paradox, because it's only you. There is no ego left. But that love, that never-ending joy which comes, that infinite bliss which comes from within, it actually just absorbs you completely. You have dissolved in it. And you want to be just there, and you want everyone to be there, and everyone to be there in your own. So we are all playing the same game in our own video game. The console is inside. When I connect, you also connect. Everyone connects there. And we all connect. It's so beautiful because we are connecting to the same divine awareness. And no difference. You might look so different from outside. You might be having a 20 years old body or 80 years old body, living in a country or wherever. There might be perfect body or a diseased body or a big body or a small. Doesn't matter, male, female, whatever. Doesn't matter. The essence is purest of pure. Real gem within. So to find that gem, only thing it requires is your attention, your interest, your respect, and praise for it, remembering it in any way you can. And that's why if you see, direct method of remembering it is by staying like that. If you see, Bhagwan has said the best prayer is to, or the best way to, is to say, remember that you are that God. It is not blasphemy that God is somewhere. People say God is somewhere, I don't know. They always look up. Look within. You are that. Why you keep yourself at such a low level that you are not that? Only Bhagwan Ramana Maharishi can be there. Who was Bhagwan Ramana Maharishi or Gautam Buddha or Jesus Christ? They didn't jump from somewhere, They were just like you and me. Normal. They were normal human beings, all of them. Why we have to go 2000 years back to remember these people? We are all that. And we all have the same opportunity. I think we have more opportunity now. We can have satsang every day. People used to go to forest and caves and see someone. Now we can just do it on, virtual satsang, any part of the world, all the time. Listen to anyone. Keep going deep within. We can use the same technology to go within. We are in the best times, It's the tail end. The tail end of yugas, Kali Yuga. So tail end, everyone needs to be passed. God is saying that, it's going to end. Whoever is in the last chance, In India, we used to have grace marks. Like you have failed by 2 marks or 3 marks, they will say, okay, we'll give you, come. This is the best time. Even if you look into the scriptures, they say in Satyuga, people were doing, all these tapas for thousands of years. And then they were getting little bit of it. Nowadays, it's all instant, fast food. It's so quick. No one has time. That's why all these technologies are also there to help us. If you see non-duality teachings, Advaita or Bhagwan's teachings, they are much more popular right now as compared to in Bhagwan's time. While there is no concentrated effort from Ramana Ashram or anyone, it is just because it's the need of the hour. It has to happen because people want to just get out of this and they want freedom, Jivan Mukt. So anyone, whatever you have done in all these previous births until now, gather all that efforts and energy and just finish this thing. Because coming towards the tail end, things will get more uglier in general word. Towards the end, things will not be looking, they're not looking that good, if you see where humanity is going. Though it is a dream, but the dream is going towards more tragic end, isn't it? It's better to just move out. Moving out of the dream to awaken from this dream, only thing this dream needs from you is to pay attention to that which is changeless, to pay attention to that which is eternal, to pay attention to that what is you without body mind. So if you put your all money on this attention, then this whole Maya illusion around you cannot affect you. It is a self-sabotage. We pay attention to things, one thing we finish, then the next thing. You see people who are in their 80s or maybe 90s. Sometimes they are more busy than anyone who is doing an executive job or busy with their business or whatever. Because minds keep ticking, it will just keep giving you more and more work. Because that's what we have been taught by society, that you need to be productive, multitasking. We stay in the mind all the time. But the moment you start receding from it and staying as presence, so many of your interests just drops. So many of things which we thought are so important has no value in our life anymore. They say personality is a non-modifiable risk factor for diseases. That's what we've been taught. And I think that holds true for most of the people, but not for a seeker. Because personality is not modifiable. Personality is completely dissolution of personality. You can just transform completely. You can just leave it completely. You can burn away the personality. No trace is left of it, except that body which looks the same. And maybe few habits left. It is so powerful, just your attention. If I can tell you, God only needs your attention, that's all. And then what, He wants to do? He wants to turn you into God. How big is this gift? God is eternal, omnipresent, unchanging, kind, compassionate, loving. And when you go towards God, what it does? It makes you Him only. How compassionate He is. And He ignores all your sins. He does not follow law of karma to know Him. But yes, if you stay as body mind in your ego, then you have to abide by law of karma. How strange it is, isn't it? That there are two different systems working parallel. You will get whatever you want, follow law of karma, and you have body mind, and you'll keep dying and birth and death and joy and suffering and cycle never ending. But if you love that, then there are different rules for it. Do good to others, work hard, be productive. Law of karma will keep you higher up. But if you want to get out of the game, you want to wake up from this game, you want to leave this game, then rules are completely different. Then the only rule is you're longing for it. Even if you don't know anyway, do you think that Bhagwan created a self-inquiry like he read it? No, it just happened and he said, this is the way. He didn't read any scriptures and told you, look, this is scripture. And just think, even in a scripture, there is a way. It's the way that people have realized and they said, this is a way. So there can be thousands of ways, and the ways comes later. First thing is your interest in it. If you want to climb on the top of a hill, you just try to find a way, and people can find hundreds of ways to climb on the top. There is no way. There is only way is your longing for it. Way will be created for you in your own way. And His grace, His mercy is so much that He will create a way for you which is the shortest path from where you are. According to your mindset and your personality and your whatever way you can reach from point B to point A, He will create the shortcut for you. So you can start wherever. Let's say you start with the self-inquiry, but who knows? One day you just think that I am Brahman. It comes to you and that opens up your door, and then you just are free just by those words. Penny drops. But it will happen to everyone without exception if they are longing for that only. They are not just testing waters. Like I attend satsang, but I also play golf, and then I will watch movie, and then I'll do this. In a timetable, satsang has a time. Or paying attention to self is a time factor. I'm very sincere devotee. I will spend every day 1 hour. See where you will go. You will go nowhere. The reason is because 23 hours you are spending in outwardly, bahyamukhi. Your mind is moving outwardly into 3. And then 1 hour you are putting to look for the self. How would it happen? Just think. You're wasting your time. It's better to spend 24 hours in outward thing. And the day when you get fed up of all the things outside, then start looking. But when you start looking, then only start looking. Then only look within. Whatever is happening around you, your longing should be intense, not lukewarm approach. That never works. Then you will be part of a religious community. Then you can call as Hindu faith or Christian faith or any religion faith, a Bhagwan Ramana faith, Useless. You can do a prayer, you can do Aksharman Malai, Ubdesharam, do a drama, ritual. Nothing is going to happen, I guarantee. If you're spending half an hour or 1 hour. Or 2 hours or 3 hours. Nothing is going to happen. Something will happen, but it will be such a slow process that, many births. And remember, it's not just many births. Law of karma binds you in ego mode. If you are doing some some sadhana that is not going to get wasted. But let's say on the other hand, from that ego point of view, you're doing a lot of stupid stuff. Maybe in next birth, you might become a cat who will not remember to do sadhana. Then what will happen? Or a lizard. I'm not degrading, but maybe they don't have that much of interest in sadhana. Then what is going to happen? Why to postpone it? If right now you have understood that your only aim in life is to be free from this dream, then put your 100% into it. Then don't just waste time again in doing something else. Don't postpone your awakening. Be awakened now and then leave other things after your awakening. Let's say whatever your age is, you're going to live another 20 or 30 years. Let's finish this in first 1-2 years. Finish it off. And then whatever time left, then let's see what we want to do. What happens? So the only thing, your race is against time right now. Because you are not going to stay in this body forever. And the paradox is, though you have to get rid of this notion that you are body-mind. And to get rid of this notion that you are body-mind, that can happen only in body-mind. So living in this body-mind, you can detach from body-mind. But once you finish with this body, then you again need a human birth with that much of intelligence and grace that why to postpone it? That's what I think. If you have no doubts, if you are very clear and you know 100% yes, even if you have no experiential understanding of it, but you are 100% sure, yes, if there are few hundred people on this earth, or maybe 1,000 people you have read or whatever, that they all talk the same language, wherever they come from, whichever country, there must be some truth in it. And if you are convinced, then why do you want that person who is awakened to be the only person? Why can't you? So rather than just keep praising someone, and treating them as God, why don't you start praising yourself? And treat yourself as God. And be free. And stay as presence rather than going into the low level of egoistic mind. Why you want to downgrade yourself? And you have all that, what all these people had. You are not different from anyone. Your job is not to keep praising Bhagwan Ramana and that's all. You have to be Bhagwan Ramana only. Before your name also it should come Bhagwan. I'm not talking from an egoistic point, but I'm saying in genuinely that Bhagwan is within you. Why don't you look here and find it and let it unfold? Rather than just like a ritualistic mode and just thinking that it only Bhagwan can do, no one else can do. I remember in one of the satsang, there was this man who kept arguing with us that it can only be Bhagwan who can be that, no one else. Because he was so strong in his thoughts, and I tried to explain him. I think few of us were there on that day. But I could not change his mindset. He said, no one else can be like Bhagwan. Then what is the point of practice and sadhana if it's only Bhagwan can do it? Then why Bhagwan wasted his whole life teaching us self-inquiry, self-attention? If only he can be that. What is the purpose of having a satsang if only Bhagwan can do that, not us? We all have the same essence. We all have the same paraphernalia to achieve it. And we have the right mindset, right group, satsang, teachings. Only thing needs is your longing and practice. And there are other methods also. If you don't like non-duality teachings of Bhagwan, you can look others. There's no dearth of teachings. Whatever works for you, do it and be free. That is most important rather than where it comes from. But just do it. Finish it. Don't postpone it. If you're interested in other things, then finish off those things. So you have to decide. But I'll tell you, if you keep paying attention to this awareness, this neutral, pure presence, it overtakes everything. It overtakes whatever name you have been given and your conditioning and all your concepts and beliefs. You are not going to become a reformer, or you will start saying people, look, I'm not a Christian or I'm not a Hindu. You will not say anything, but you know there's nothing like this. It is pure awareness, nameless, formless. It does not belong to a religion. It does not even know any religion. It is not religious. It is reality. I don't know about religion, how real they are, but this is reality. You are that reality. Whether you come from a religious background or you don't come, doesn't matter. Only thing it needs is your attention, your humbleness, your sincerity, your efforts to know it. And it is always the same. It is with you. Can you believe? It is you only. It is not with you. It is you only. But right now I can say it is with you because you think you are body-mind. You have stepped out of it in a conditioned environment, thinking that you are outside. Because you are using mind so much. But it is you. The good news is it is you. You are always that. But you need to be shaken from this dream. So whatever images coming in front of us, objects, beings, people, we say good times, bad times, tragedy, joy, suffering, whatever is happening, you are not part of it. You are never involved. And you are not even a doer. No virtues to you, no sins to you. No law of karma to you. You're not in any type of bondage. All these bodies we have been given, job, whatever, doing, wherever we are living, a family. It's just happening. It's just unfolding on its own. And just observe, love it, admire it, accept it. And you will realize that you will be so much in harmony with everything. All adversaries, all things which you thought are not right, they will become right for you. Even things which to others might look disaster, for you it looks blessing. Because you are in that non-doership state, in pure awareness. People might think you look stupid, you have lost money, whatever, but you are in your bliss. You're loving it. And you know the truth. You look dumb and you don't know how to talk and you don't remember things. But then also you feel okay. People say on your face, you used to be a smart person, now you look dumb, and you are okay with that dumbness, because the dumbness is giving so much of bliss, so much of peace. Because ego lives in others' eyes, in others' mind, how people think about me, how I look, how people appreciate me or not. We have given our remote buttons to others. Only a jnani is free from others. No one can blackmail, no one can exploit a jnani by praising or by insulting, because he has already finished that stuff which people either wants to raise their own and wants to down others' ego. He's outside this game. He's outside this play. And who has brought him outside this play is that pure awareness, God within, which is none other than you. And you can do it right now. It is always available to all of us. It never leaves. You sleep, it is there. You dream, it is there. You are in waking state. You are doing some work. You are not doing. It is just observing you. It is not you're using your mind, intellect, brain, nothing. It is not dependent on any of these gadgets. It is pure intelligence. Though Bhagwan says in your heart, but it is everywhere. It is all pervading. It is the same. In body it might be centered, but it is outside also. It has no boundaries. And it has never changed. Eternally. Like if in reality, if someone asks your age, you're unborn. Age is of a thing which has produced. The body has an age. You had so many bodies before. But you are ageless. You're timeless. You're not bound by time or space. You are that unborn. Never ever, even in your dream, think you are this body mind. When you dream at night, when the dream comes, you should be so vigilant that even in dream you know that you are pure awareness. That is the intensity of your own sadhana, your own liking, your own love. Then mind cannot cause any grief to you, because mind is just a thought, any thought or feeling. You can never be miserable. You can be poor. You can have a disease. You can have pain in the body, but there will be no suffering. Suffering is only because of our identity with the body mind. You are pure awareness. And we all are always pure awareness. Whatever our profession, whatever happening, things are happening on their own. Nobody is doing so. You can't blame others, or you can't praise others. You can't blame yourself. You can't praise yourself. Just total acceptance. Things are just happening. Things are just happening. Even let's say, for the sake of argument, that in court of law, a person who has done a theft, he will be called as thief and he will be punished. But that's play. That's the leela. That's the play of the game. He has been given this role, a stupid role, I should say, and he does it. Who likes to do such a stupid stuff? But that's the way his mind has been created, and then he has to go through punishment. It's just, maybe we are fortunate we are not in that role, but it's just a role. It's a role playing. I'll give you a very good example. Let's say a thief who does theft. Do you think he thinks it's a good thing? Does he likes it? Never. You go to that thief's house and try to steal his stuff. He will start running behind you. You can't. That means he doesn't like what he does. He doesn't like others to do on him. So it's not that he thinks it's right. It is he definitely knows it's wrong. But still the mind is like that, he does it. And if you understand from that awareness, you can only have compassion for him also. Because something he knows it is wrong, but he can't leave it. Sometimes I see patients who are being found with lung cancer or something, or COPD, very bad lung condition, and they are heavy smoker. And you ask them to stop. They said, yes, doctor, I know that, but I can't. I know it's going to kill me and it's already killing me. But look, I've already done for last 50 years. Maybe I'll just keep doing it till I die. So what is this? How we start judging people, good people, bad people, Just have compassion for everyone. Because it's not in their hand. Just like us, we judge others, we criticize others, we like, dislike. We are so conditioned with this body mind. Are we free? So we are not free, how others are not free in their own body-mind complex. So for complete freedom, the only thing it needs is our attention. Stay in that neutral, and when a thought comes that this man is not right, he has done this to me, just see whom this thought is coming, and you will know that this thought is coming to this animal living in this body called as ego, and I don't know this person. You can say anything about, I'm just giving an example, like you can just, I don't know this animal in me, and then the thought will go away. Then another thought comes that, look, I do all the right things and people still don't like me, and I'm the best person and people are so mean. And then see whom this thought is coming. This thought is coming to this selfish ego in me. I don't know whom, I don't identify with that thought. What will happen? Thought will have no standing. No thought is supported by your identity with it. It will go away. That is the reason why solitude is so important for any spiritual seeker. Because when you're in company of people, ordinary people, I'm not disrespecting anyone, but who are not seekers, they talk that language all the time, Two friends will gossip about third one who is not there. Or whatever. And they will pull you in that negative, egoistic energy. And you are a budding seeker, you are still not that strong enough to withhold that current, and you just flow in that egoistic tendencies, and all your efforts are gone in vain. Better to find time with your own self. Better to have friendship with pets, gardening, walking. Things in which there is no gossip happening. And if the gossip is happening, then what can you do? You just ignore. You can say yes or no, in whatever direction. Don't engage in it. Remind yourself, I am pure awareness. Don't tell others. And then what will happen is that a lot of these negative energies and tendencies of people around you will get threatened as you move in that atmosphere. They will not like you. So a lot of people will drift away. Your life, your mobile phone will start, no more calls to you. It will more silence. And that is also God's compassion towards you. It will give you more time. More time you want for godliness in you, more time you will get. More time you want gossip, more you will be busy. More people will start pulling your legs. More court cases or some scandals or something. People who are very worldly, they're always busy with so many things, Life is a full drama for them. But if you move here, that pure awareness, that absolute helps you to be more there, It will take away a lot of things from you. Maybe it might take away some money or position or people or things, For others, looks like you are in a miserable state, but you are in your blissful state, just on your own. So have faith in your own sadhana, your practice. If you lose heart, talk to others who are on this path. Look back into those purest of teachings, like who am I? Keep it next to you. Keep reading. Keep notes. Like I know so many of us have so many ways to keep reminding us about it. And that's so beautiful. Keep helping others who are on this path. But there's no need to discuss with anyone who is not interested in it. There's no point, They might just make fun of you, or they might discourage you, They might think it's not the right age to do these things. Maybe a bit older. When you have a lot of diseases and you're just going from doctor to doctor. Or maybe you had dementia and you can't even remember anything. Whenever there is longing, just finish it. Hit hard. Pay attention to that. Hope everyone moves from darkness towards light. And happy Diwali to everyone. Diwali is a festival of lights, which means light within. Nilakantanji started with a beautiful prayer that was about light, Know your own light and you know the light. Self-effulgent light. It's beautiful. Thank you, everyone. Keep this fire burning. Keep burning this fire. Don't stop this fire. Whatever happens around you, don't worry. A drama will continue with everyone's life. Everyone thinks my life is very important. My drama is different from others. I have more suffering. I have this. That all is ego talk. Ego gives importance to that small self, which is useless creature, which is only giving suffering. It's a drama queen within us. It has no value. If you want real value, then look for that silence within. That is that pure Ramana, pure Shiva, the pure energy. Thank you, everyone.
Happy Diwali to you and your family.
Happy Diwali to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjay.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes, happy Diwali.
Happy Diwali.
Happy Diwali.
Happy Diwali. Thank you.
Happy Diwali.
Thank you, everyone.